think citizens generally in the country right now are more in tune to the government. We've had a lot of changes, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be here and address you folks and express my perspective on this issue. I'm affected in several ways. For one, I raise horses. My family come from a long line of cattle ranchers, and we are having crippling effects from lack of water from drought. We have 2 hay suppliers ourselves at our ranch. We have a supplier for round bales. I don't know how many of you guys are ranchers and farmers. I don't want to or know about hay. We have round bales and square bales, and we feed different animals, different types. And we experienced something this year. Yesterday, our square bale supplier called and said, we have nothing to feed our animals. Can we buy some of our hay back from you? Our round bale supplier did the same thing about a month ago. So this isn't something that we didn't plan for. We didn't slack up enough hay. Our suppliers are actually coming back to us and saying, hey, if you guys can help us, we'd really appreciate it. So my aunt and uncle who raised cattle all their life had to haul a bunch of their cattle out of state and sell them because they couldn't afford, it just didn't make financial sense to continue to feed them. No grass. We planted ryegrass, it didn't come up, there was no moisture, there was no rain. We got little hints of it just from dew, and then it just went away. It was just all dead expense. So from the ranching industry, I can tell you water's been a real issue. I can also tell you I'm a wildlife rehabilitator, so I'm very in tune with what goes on with the wildlife. We're seeing disease in wildlife, great distemper outbreaks. We're seeing rabies in a county that hadn't had it in a number of years because animals congregate where there are small bodies of water that have survived the drought, and you get more disease interchange than you would have. We had the normal bodies of water they were all feeding from. We run a refuge and a rescue and a sanctuary for all types of animals, and we have a camp, a kids camp called Critter Camp one day each year, where kids from around 3 or 4 county area come and learn about the ecosystem and learn about wildlife and learn about domestic animals and learn about ranching and farming and kind of everything to relate to that. That is a fundraiser. It's partially how we fund our sanctuary and our rescue. It's by having kids come in and learn about environmental issues. Water is very, very precious to us. We've been asked the last time flies when you're having fun. Last couple of years, we've been asked to register our wells with the county, and we're. Is anybody offended if I say we're a redneck community? We're very, we're kind of slow to progress down there a little bit. People are very offended that they can't just go drill a well, they have to register it. There's very much a mentality of, well, who thinks they own the water? I'm not saying it's not backwoods, I'm saying in our area that's the mentality. That's just how it is. So, in regards to industry's use of water in the proposed bill, particularly for the nuclear industry. Nuclear industry is dear to me in some ways. I'm about 8.5 miles outside of the nuclear plant. My family is largely funded. A lot of people that are friends and family work at the nuclear plant. However, because our little tiny drought-stricken, hungry, impoverished community is asked to evade the taxes for these facilities, because as a general community there are so many subsidies that fund the nuclear industry, because we as property owners have to suffer elevated property taxes and business taxes in order to help put in the infrastructure for construction of these plants. We vehemently resist any restriction on our being able to come in as citizens who are out there fishing and hunting and interacting with the wildlife, interacting one-on-one, acre-on-acre with the environment. We resist and resent, for lack of a better word, any implication that we should not be allowed to participate in the process of coming forward before our government and saying, here's what we know is the little local people is going on with our environment. Here's what we know about the fishery. Here's what we know about species that have been affected. And I think somebody said this year you can only keep one gar, alligator gar. Who would ever thought you had to protect alligator gar? There was such trash fish growing up, but that's what I'm hearing. The upper Texas coast, Louisiana-Texas border has become so polluted by runoff down the Mississippi that it can barely sustain life. So in our little area down around the South Texas project, down around Matagorda County, we have this tiny little pristine fish nursery where we have, or had until this drought, enough fresh water coming downstream to create brackish areas so that fish could lay their eggs and raise their young. And I know we have biologists studying this, I know the state has experts, but I'm telling you, there's nobody like the citizens who are there one-on-one with the fish, on the hook, in the bays, in the rivers, knowing what's going on. So we want the right and the opportunity to come forward in these proceedings and express what we know as citizens, and to be represented in these industries that we as citizens are being forced to subsidize and abate local taxes for. I think that's pretty much really all I want to say, because I like to just reiterate the point that I think the citizenry in general is we're a little bit prickly right now about big industries, big profitable rich industries coming in and leaning on us any heavier. We've done all the bailouts, we've done all the help. We're like, okay, now let's get back to raising our cattle and rolling our hay bales and supporting ourselves, and just give us an opportunity to participate in that process. I think it's fair. I think it generates a more of a feeling of goodwill with the community, and I just hope that you guys will consider that. Thank you.
What do your old coastal Bermudas, what you pour your hay?
We jigs, yeah.
Okay.
Well, partially jigs. We brought in about midway through our cycle. We feed about 65 to 70 round bales throughout the winter.
Sure.
And our supplier normally rolls jigs and doesn't irrigate, and they ran out, so they brought some Tifton Bermuda in. We fed that for a little bit, and then sometimes the horses get finicky, like they might like one today, and then you put a roll it out tomorrow, and they turn their noses up like I'm not eating that.
Do you irrigate there?
No.
You don't?
We don't. We have about a 2-acre pond that we stock.
Sure.
Kids come and learn that. We do have a well for that, and we're having water issues with that as well right now.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you very much, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity again.